South Africa.
It is exactly 9:36. News and views moving along on Salam Media. I do know that I promised right at the beginning of the show that we are going to be doing the big news story of the day, not only in South Africa, but all around the world. And that, of course, is the announcement of the cabinet of the GNU. But unfortunately, it seems to be really a field day for political analysts. We've pre-booked a couple of analysts to be on the show, but it is really quite a challenge trying to track them down because they are booked back to back with interviews all around, not only, as I've said, locally, but internationally. So we will continue trying to get a political analyst and we'll bring you that story of the day. But the other story of the day obviously has to do with the Palestinian situation. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Defense Minister Gallant have been accused of committing war crimes in Gaza. Now, judges at the ICC have postponed a decision on whether arrest warrants should be issued against Benjamin Netanyahu and Gallant over alleged war crimes in Gaza. I'm totally shocked. I'm floored. I can't believe that there is this discussion going on. But as I rightly suspected, once again, it's either US or the UK at play here, trying to play politics and save the butts of these two war criminals. Let's hear what our activist involved in Palestinian solidarity has to say about the situation. Undoubtedly, she has studied it very deeply and will be able to bring us up to speed on this issue. Fazela Mahomed, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for having me.
You are probably as shocked as I am about the latest turn of events regarding these charges that might possibly be dropped against these two war criminals.
Well, once again, the UK has intervened to, to stop the implementation of international law. You know, when there are cases against people from the south, they're very quick to implement those decisions of the ICC. But once again, when it comes to Palestine, they have once again shown their bias against the Palestinian people and their unashamed support for the Israeli government.
So carry on, Fazila.
And, the thing is, we are shocked because these are the people who have preached human rights to all of us all over the world. Not that we don't support human rights. We do, of course. But, of course, for them, human rights depends on whose rights are affected. And in this case, once again, they have betrayed the Palestinian people of their right to justice.
And you've just pointed out, I suspected it was the global north that were complicit in this situation. And as you've pointed out, it is the UK government that has actually, according to court documents, the UK has filed a request with the ICC to provide written observations on whether, I quote, the court can exercise jurisdiction over Israeli nationals in circumstances where Palestine cannot exercise criminal jurisdiction over Israeli nationals under the Oslo Accords. Let's not forget, Fazila, that it was the British who started this horrible atrocity on the Palestinian people way back in 1948 with the issue around the Balfour Accords. So once again, the British people interfering and causing more heartache and hardship on the Palestinian people.
You're so correct, because, if you look at it, the British still think that they are the overlords of the world, stemming from their old decisions in, when they were part of the empire. But I think that what we need to say now is that for all of us, You see, the rest of the world has stood up against this orthodox view of both the British government and the United States. And what we're saying is that these institutions will mean nothing. They will actually be completely eroded if the Palestinians are not granted their right to justice. So, the ICC is supposed to be kind of justice for all around the world. If they don't actually do this, if they don't implement these warrants, and the British, through political interference, manage to stop this, this will be the end of the ICC as an institution of note.
Absolutely. I think what comes into question is Roman law, Roman statute, because I think the Western world has imposed that on the rest of the world. So this might just be the undoing of, like you've indicated, the ICC and Roman statute or Roman law, as the modern world knows it as. But let's move on then and look at the media reports granting the UK's request. We understand this could delay for months the decision on arrest warrants for these Israeli perpetrators. And this, of course, was requested by Karim Khan, an ICC prosecutor. And this was done way back in May already. So grave implications all around. Is that not so?
No, this graceful decision will allow for the continued killing of Palestinian people. It will embolden Netanyahu to continue with the murder of innocents in Palestine. So there is nothing. What they will, if they are successful in this, there will be, there's blood on the hands already of the US and the UK and Germany who are supporting this genocide. And if this continues, it will mean that they are complicit in the act of murder against Palestinian people, and also they will also be complicit in the decline of all international instruments to bring kind of human rights abusers to book. If you look at recently, the UN named Israel as a country that harms children, right? I'm sure they put them on the list of countries that harm children.
Mm.
So how, in the context of all these UN reports, can the UK government still try and prevent the implementation of these warrants? I mean, it really begs the question that
I go back. Carry on.
That more must be done. More must be done to bring the international justice applicable to all. It can't be that you choose who is the recipient of justice. And I think the election of Ronald Lamola, the appointment of Ronald Lamola is actually excellent for us in the Palestinian cause, because he very much led a lot of the ICC and ICJ proceedings. I think from our point of view in South Africa, that's been a very good appointment.
Alhamdulillah. Let me just go back to that request by the ICC prosecutor Karim Khan, which was filed in May of this year. At the time, he announced that he was seeking warrants for Netanyahu and Garland due to suspected crimes of causing extermination, causing starvation as a method of war, including the denial of humanitarian relief supplies, deliberately targeting civilians in a conflict zone. Now, had this been in the global north, I think the narrative and our discussion would have been completely different. But once again, it's Black people, Black and brown people who are the victims of this horror, this genocide. And that is why the white imperialist world is silent. Or choose to ignore the situation. I'd like to just share an announcement by Sleepy Joe Biden. This is what he had to say regarding this supposed prosecution. He says the announcement was fiercely criticized by Israel and the US, and Joe Biden, who is so forgetful and half asleep and half dead, had this to say. He called the court's accusations against Israel outrageous. And who is he to talk when he can't even remember who he is and where he's at and which function he's addressing? So once again, outrage from the brown and black people of the world against this, the continued genocide against innocent men, women, and children in Palestine and other parts of the world.
Yeah, everybody pushed the ICC to actually implement the decision, against Russia
Yes.
with the war with Ukraine, and almost immediately, they declared him a war criminal, and etc. They had huge amounts of sanctions. So that's the point that you raised. What is the worth of Palestinian lives? How many bullets was that Hind's car? That young girl who was killed while she was looking for help. I think, what is it, 355? I'm not sure the exact number now. But I mean, that many bullets fired in a car of a young girl. I mean, surely she deserves justice. The children who are decapitated and beheaded, the children who are gone missing, the children who are all with no limbs, they too require justice. And for me, it is outrageous. If Biden thinks that is outrageous, his response is similarly more outrageous, because actually it has no place. This level of injustice has no place in the 21st century.
I want to link the situation of the Palestine situation and all of the other wars and incursions into supposed, black or brown run countries like in the Middle East and in Africa. And all of this done by white imperialists is always with an end goal in sight. They are either after the natural resources of the said country, or they want to subjugate the nation or the country that they are, trying to subjugate. They want to control their minerals, their resources, the people and their minds. It's apartheid all over again by these white imperialists, the UK and the US and other white countries. And we see this happening over and over and over again. People are saying that apartheid is dead, done and buried, but it's not. The white imperialists are ongoing in their pursuit to overtake and to run and to take hold of the resources of black and brown countries. And that's exactly what is happening here. The UK and the US and other white countries have vested interest in annihilating Palestinian people and making that a white homeland for Zionists. That being said, what is the latest? What are we hearing regarding aid reaching the most vulnerable in Gaza and the rest of Palestine?
Yeah, you see, why this is so outrageous, to use Biden's term, is that first of all, they are systematically starving people. Yesterday, I saw pictures of Palestinian people looking extremely starved, almost the same as the Jewish people who were taken by Hitler in the ghettos. So their actions are very similar to what was perpetrated against the Jews by Hitler. And the thing is that in such circumstances, we cannot say that it's okay, because these institutions were, like ICC and the ICJ, were set up specifically to prevent a reoccurrence of that. 40,000 people killed. I mean, and some people are saying that estimate may be low, because we don't know how many people are dead beneath the rubble. There's thousands of mass graves. There are thousands of children missing. And so, the death toll, I'm sure, will be much higher when the dust has settled. But I think what they're doing, and the UK and the US, what they're doing is they're trying to give Israel more time to kill more Palestinians. Because what's the end game here?
Yeah.
What's the end game? That's the question we need to ask. What's the end game?
Yeah, they're trying to wipe out they're trying to wipe the Palestinians off the map of the earth, or the face of the earth, so to speak. Very sadly, it just takes me back to the time of Musa alayhi salam, when Pharaoh was killing all of the babies, the boy babies, so that there isn't a future generation of Musa alayhi salam's people. And that's exactly what these nefarious leaders of the Western world are doing. They are supporting Netanyahu.
No, I think the long game is that they're going to create a situation that Gaza is uninhabitable. They have created, they've killed every, for the development of the Palestinian people. They have killed schools, they have bombed hospitals, they have, all the people who run the administration of Gaza, the ordinary civil servants who make Gaza work. They were targeted. So what happens is you create a situation where society is almost left leaderless because they've murdered almost every single. So the NGOs that exist, many of their leadership are under attack. So where will that leave the people of Gaza? I think they want to create a level of desperation and they're pushing to open the borders so that people can flee.
I think the game too is, you're right, to for the remaining Palestinians that are there to flee, to abandon, in their minds, to abandon Palestine, so that the Zionists can take over. And of course, we do know they have a law of a right of no return. So people that are the Palestinian diaspora is quite huge all around the world, and sadly they don't have a right to return, and that's also part of the end game. That, and the fact that they want to wipe out the complete face of Palestinian people all around the world. But Fazela, we have to leave it there. We're running out of time. Your final thoughts on the current discussion?
Well, I think that this is really a time for more protests. I'm sure in the UK they've had consistent marches. I'm sure they will continue. But we too in South Africa must continue with the push and the demand for justice for those who were murdered, many people who were murdered. And I think we need to continue with that. So people must speak up, they must show up, they must be visible, and they must ensure that the cause of the Palestinian people is never forgotten.
Inshallah, Ameen. Thank you indeed for your thoughts this morning. Till the next time, as always, keep us in your du'as. Keep the Palestinian brothers and sisters in your du'as. And Allah accept from all of us. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam.
Dad, these Frymax chips are so tasty. Wow, that really takes me back. My dad bought me a Frymax chips every day after school. They were my favorite when I was your age as well. Quality is at the very heart of what we do, and that's why we ensure that every Frymax packet is filled with the beautiful goodness and flavor-packed taste that you've come to expect from us since 1982. Frymax, from J.